It's happening again. Packers' injury list is getting kind of long. It's not good with two must-win games coming up. But here's the thing. If a coach ever gets injured, put me in. I'm ready to go. Let's be real. I'm not in good enough shape to be a player. But if a coach gets hurt, put me in. I'm ready. Welcome to another episode of Lombardi Time Brews. I am your host, John Del Rey. So hey, first, welcome to the new subscribers on the channel. We've gained a bunch over the last couple of days. And yes, I am very proud to say that we are now over 300 subs, at least on YouTube. So thank you so much for being here. It's been great to see the channel grow and grow, and I'm really excited for not only what's to come, but also to have everyone here. Today's going to be a little bit quicker of a video. I do have an injury update for you because today was quite eventful for a number of Packers players, whether they were playing or not. I got one little, semi-mini rant for you, and then a couple of New Year's resolutions if I were the Green Bay Packers. Because, hey, Christmas is done, but does it feel like New Year's to anybody? I don't know. Everything just seemed a little off didn't it? Christmas happened, now we're just going straight into New Year's. But, hey, it is still the season. If you do New Year's resolutions, the Packers have a couple that, they should probably follow. So, let's dive in. First of all, the injury report. Yeah, Aaron Rodgers did not practice today. That's right, he did absolutely nothing. Turns out, in the Miami game on Christmas, he knocked his knee. Some people on Twitter believe that they found the exact play that had occurred. There was one time where he went down to the ground and then got up and kind of rubbed his knee. Whether it was that or not, kind of irrelevant. Whatever. He's dealing with a banged up knee, so he did not practice today. Packers do not seem at all concerned about that knee. Rodgers certainly doesn't, given his McAfee appearance yesterday, the fact that he didn't even mention it. This is a little bit of a surprise that he didn't practice today. Ultimately, doesn't seem like a concern. Two players were not sure in what capacity did they practice. Were they full practice participants or were they limited? The Packers have not, as of at least me filming right now, have not put out the full official designation, but here's what we can say for sure. Yosh did wind up at least doing some practice today, as did Aaron Jones. Jones expected, Yosh we just didn't know about. Still great that both of them at least were able to get in some type of practice, even if it wasn't the full thing. David Bakhtiari, speaking of limited practices, yes, David Bakhtiari came back from his emergency appendectomy, at least got in a limited practice today. How much of a practice, we're not certain, of course, because part of the practice is closed off to the media. So fully what he did, we don't know, but still, his return is a big deal. Yosh being back on a limited basis, Bakhtiari being back on a limited basis, for a game where you're heading into a must-win game in the cold, against Hunter and Z, you're going to need your premier tackles. The Vikings pass rush featuring former Packers Zadarius Smith has been a nightmare for teams this year. Both of those guys, Hunter and Smith, are playing out of their minds. Z, by all accounts, has returned to the game record that he was for a stint in Green Bay. So having Yosh and Bakhtiari will be very important in spite of how well Zach Tom and even Royce Newman last week have played in their absence. Getting back to players about today, Christian Watson, he at least did some stretching. I'm pretty sure he's officially going to be listed as a did not practice. At least that's what LaFleur said in his press conference. But from the media members that were actually physically there, we know that he at least did stretching. He did something. Given that it's a hip injury, you would think that that's a good sign. Keep in mind it is very early in the week, too. Take it for what it's worth. He at least did some stretching. That is not the case for Keyshawn Nixon. Yes, LaFleur said in his press conference this morning that Nixon would do nothing, just like Watson. Watson, we learned, stretched. Nixon didn't do anything. From anything that I read on Twitter from anyone who reported actually inside the building. Nixon, by all accounts, was there. He was present. He was talking to people, but no anything for him today. No stretching, no physical activity whatsoever as he's rehabbing that groin injury. So every single player that I listed there, I mean, this is not light stuff. This is not bottom of the roster type backups. I mean, Aaron Rodgers, Yash, Aaron Jones, David Bakhtiari, Christian Watson, Keyshawn Nixon. Those are a bunch of the biggest stars left on the team. So health is of the utmost importance for Sunday. It is still early in the week. I saw quite a bit of panic on Twitter today about, the do not practices and the limiteds. And folks, it's Wednesday in week 17. Not a whole hell of a lot is happening at these Wednesday practices. So ultimately, am I saying it's nothing? No. However, is it time to be concerned? No, not yet. Not yet. We won't get concerned until we start seeing this as a trend tomorrow and Friday. So the next topic of the day, and this is one I just really want to touch on because I don't get it, okay? So it was announced today for the Las Vegas Raiders. For those of you who don't follow the Raiders at all, they have been a disaster this year. They've had their good times. They've made some strong plays. But on the whole, it's been a team that has far, far underachieved what they were supposed to do with a new head coach and all of the new pieces that they got, including Davante Adams, Chandler Jones, Khalil Mack, etc. Or not Khalil Mack. I'm sorry. I'm mixing up my guys. But Chandler Jones is there now. Davante Adams. They added a whole lot of new pieces. And it's not turning out the way that they thought it would be. They thought they were going to be challenging the Chiefs. Well, turns out that hasn't happened. And they announced today that their quarterback, Derek Carr, is going to be benched for the final 2 games of the season. Now, I feel like benched is even a strong word. They basically said that he's not going to play. He's going to be deactivated. That they're going to start Jarrett Stidham instead, favoring to see what the youth can do since they're already eliminated from the playoffs. Now, Derek Carr just signed a new extension last offseason. He is a $40 million quarterback. He also has $40 million in injury guarantees from what I read in that contract. So it's possible that they're just shutting him down to say, hey, look, we don't want to risk you getting hurt because you get hurt and we still got to pay you because you're injury guaranteed for $40 million. So you're not going to. There's really no point in this anymore. But, hey, it's coming across, all of the headlines are saying, he's benched. He's done. There's no way he's back in Vegas next year. But the thing is, from the Packer fandom that I'm seeing a lot of, is people are taking this as an opportunity to go after Davante. Yeah, Davante Adams. The one who inevitably is going to be in the Green Bay Packer Hall of Fame. The one who set a bunch of Packer records. I don't get it. I mean, I know a lot of people feel betrayed by him choosing to go to Vegas, but, I mean, look, the truth is, he lasted 2 contracts in Green Bay, one of them vastly under market, and then when his time came up, he said, you know what, I don't like the way that this has totally been handled. We have a very unsure quarterback situation. I'm going to go home. I'm gonna play in front of my family. Yeah, Derek Carr is my best friend in the world. He's the quarterback there. I'm gonna go play with him. But Green Bay, I wish you well. Peace out. And some people have taken that to be that Davante Adams straight up betrayed Green Bay. And the guy chose to go home. In fact, he wanted to go home so badly that he actually took less money to do so. And again, people are taking that as this big sign of betrayal against Green Bay. And now with Derek Carr being benched, I saw so much Davante bashing from Packer fans. And I don't get it. When Davante Adams chose to leave Green Bay and go back home, he didn't pull a Greg Jennings and say, well, they brainwash everybody. Aaron Rodgers is a jerk. I'm getting out. No, he said, thanks, Green Bay. I'm going home. Hope you guys do well. And in fact, if you go into Davante Adams' Twitter, all throughout the year, there have been multiple times that Davante Adams has liked tweets about the Packers' success. He's still pulling for his friends. He just made the choice to go elsewhere. And I guess I don't see that as a big sign of betrayal. I think it's just he made a choice. And now you have the opportunity to go after one of the all-time greats of the Green Bay Packers. Yeah. Look, Davante Adams, say what you will, but he is an all-time great of the 100-plus year franchise of the Green Bay Packers. Don't go after him. I mean, if anything, to be totally honest, I feel bad that this hasn't worked out the way that he hoped it would. Not that I was rooting for him to win the Super Bowl. Of course I was rooting for Green Bay to do that. And Davante has gone there, and look, even when he left, people were saying, Aaron Rodgers made Davante. You just watch. He's going to go play with Derek Carr. His stats are going to come back to normal. It's going to be just like his second year in the NFL when he was dropping everything again. He's going to be bad. No. There have been a few bad games from Davante, mostly because Derek Carr has just missed him. Thankfully, one happened against me in the fantasy playoffs last week, so I wasn't upset about that one. But look, Davante Adams has very much been Davante Adams, switching from Aaron Rodgers to Derek Carr. What's the issue with that? He went there, he balled out. The team that he chose to go home to isn't doing as well as it should. His quarterback, his best friend in the world, is now not going to start for the last 2 games, may not be back next year, when part of the reason Davante went there was for quarterback stability, considering the Carr had just signed an extension. I don't know. I don't see this as an opportunity to dunk on him. I don't want to. He did great things for Green Bay for a long time, at under market rate. He didn't hold out. He never did anything disrespectful to Green Bay whatsoever. He didn't hold out. He didn't demand a trade. He didn't pull any of the other crap that we see. Nah, he played out his contract, and then when time came due, he said, thank you, I really appreciate it, but this is my time to go. Okay. Nothing but respect for that. I don't know. I think the whole, bashing Davante thing today, I think it's a lot of tribalism. I think it's kind of forgetting who Davante Adams was, because if Davante Adams was anything in Green Bay, he was a good guy. I mean, he even won the award, I think it's called the Tom Mulhorn Award, given from reporters to a player for being the most open, transparent, honest, making time for them player throughout the year. Davante's won that. He's a good dude. I don't know, I want him to be happy. I don't know. If you don't, I need to think on this a little bit. So, here we go. It is almost New Year's. Like I said, I got 3 quick New Year's resolutions. If I were Mark Murphy, if I were Brian Gutekunst, if I were Matt LaFleur, if I were one of the trio of leadership at 1265 Lombardi, this is what I have on my mind. My New Year's resolution for 2023. Number 1, do not piss off any more veterans. Yes, Aaron Rodgers' whole tirade a couple of years ago when he was deciding whether to come back or not, it's all about the people and all that whole thing. Well, yeah, we know that Green Bay has not handled its veterans as well as it could have throughout the years. We didn't need Rodgers dropping that hammer to know it. We already knew it. And it's something that, according to Rodgers, according to Gutekunst, according to several people in Green Bay, it has been getting better. Stick to that. If you have a New Year's resolution of losing a bunch of weight, it doesn't do any good to have that resolution if you just put it back on right after. I know from experience. I've done it. So, Green Bay, I know you've made progress in not pissing off people. Stick to that, please. We don't need any more drama. And frankly, they're gonna have their hands full with that quarterback room. I do believe, and I've said this for weeks now, I think Rodgers and Love are both back next year, and Rodgers has one more year as the starter next year. And then they guarantee Love the job in 24. I think that's what's going to come to be. That's my guess. In which case, you're going to have some repair work to do to keep both of them happy enough. Is what it is. And then number 2, I'm actually going to go on the defensive side of the ball. Figure out whatever it is to have a top-tier defense. I'm not going to tell you that it's getting rid of Joe Barry because, like I said, I'm not sure Matt LaFleur is as far down that road as many Packer fans are. But you have invested way too much, and on paper you have way too much talent to be as ineffective as you've been all year. So whether it is a new coordinator, Godspeed, Joe Barry, thanks for your service, let's go find somebody else. Whether it's completely changing the scheme entirely, okay, good, do it. This has got to be the year. If Aaron Rodgers comes back next year, plus you've got these developing receivers, everything can trend back up for this team so quickly. Whether it's Love at quarterback, whether it's Rodgers at quarterback, no matter what. They've shown the last couple of weeks that the Green Bay Packers can still be the Green Bay Packers that we've known over the course of the last decade. But it's time for the defense, and I can't believe we are still saying this, but it's time for the defense to match. And that means whatever it takes, get it done. You know what? I'm going to make this list 4, because I'm going to throw on a third one. And I was debating on and off about this one, but here's the truth. Make it a New Year's resolution to keep Aaron Jones. Yeah, no, everyone assumes that he's going to leave. Everyone assumes that he's going to get released. That cap number is too freaking big. It's $20 million for next year, by far the highest for running back in the NFL, and I get it. There's money problems. He's getting older, but you got to keep him. He's the engine of the offense. 2 years in a row, he's been your finalist for the Walter Payton Man of the Year. I am not sure there is an individual in the modern world who carries the G and signifies the Packer way more than Aaron Jones. You keep that player. You figure out the contract, you make it work. You keep that player. I think he's too important both on the field and off to let go. And now here's the final resolution. And I may do more full videos on this, but the truth is sometimes the Green Bay Packers have to remember who they play for. The Green Bay Packers are the little story in football that shouldn't be. Right? We all know that. A little town of 100,000 people shouldn't have a multi-billion-dollar franchise, but yet here we are. Supported by stock sales, by a season ticket wait list 1.5 miles long, people who spend more money on your team. My God, the amount of money that team gets. And yet, we talk about the on-field product at times growing complacent because they're so used to winning. I think the same applies to the business side. One of the great examples to me, and I used to complain about this relentlessly, is a few years back, pre-COVID, and they really should bring it back if the Brewers know what's good for them, but the Brewers had the on-deck event, right? And it was a beautiful chance for the team and the fans to connect. They brought in, it wasn't just the no-namers, it wasn't the guys that you barely know. They brought in everybody from the Major League roster, a whole bunch of alumni, including the biggest alumni in Robin Yount. Like, they went for big names, right? And you could go there, you could get autographs. They would have the players doing like Family Feud against each other. And it was this great fest to connect the fans to the team that they support, to get to know them personality-wise, to just be in the same space, right? And beyond that, the Brewers did a ton of giveaways and things, and I know the Brewers have to because they don't have a season ticket waiting list. They have to do these things, right? Because they're not the Packers. They don't have this built-in guaranteed business that's going to get them X million every year that they can bank on. They can't do stock sales. They rely on the fans more, right? But the Packers, see, the relationship between the Packers and the fans was always supposed to be one that was different. One that was a lot more direct. One that was a lot more appreciative of each other. And at times, I'm not sure that the Green Bay Packers, as a business, remember that. And I know this is wildly off topic for a team that's on the cusp of the playoffs, but hey, we're talking New Year's resolutions, and I'm sure I'm going to be talking about this in the offseason. Here's an example for you of what I'm talking about. And if you're in a couple of memorabilia groups with me on Facebook, you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about. But the other day, I mentioned that a unique piece of memorabilia had come for sale in the pro shop. And it was a 6 or 8 foot section of fence. The fence that the railings in front of the front row of the bowl that had been there since 1957. And they were $1,500, which is like, that's not chump change, right? Whether you got a lot of money or not, $1,500 is not chump change. Well, today it was revealed that they put out a bunch more sections. Except all of these were priced at $3,500. And sure, some of them were a little bit longer, but they more than doubled the price. Yes, think about this, $3,500 for a 6 to 8 foot chunk of 60-year-old railing, 70-year-old railing. I know they're a business, okay? Like, just spare me. I know they're a business. I get it. But at times, it just feels like the Green Bay Packers take for granted the fact that they have such loyalty. And if I were them, for the sake of the business, for the sake of the brand long term, especially if you're going to be entering any type of rebuild coming off a bad year, that's the time that you remember all of the people who support you when you lose and when you win. May 2023 bring all of these things and many, many more blessings to both the Green Bay Packers and you, if you happen to be a subscriber to this channel. If you're one of the 300, if you're not, yeah, you can have some blessings too, but like hit subscribe and then we'll talk. But thanks for joining me on Lombardi Time Brews today. Join me on Friday. Yes, I will be back on Friday. I will be previewing the Green Bay Packers versus Minnesota Vikings matchup coming this Sunday to a television or a stadium near you, or maybe a radio or wherever the hell you are. But Packers Vikings this coming Sunday. I'm going to be previewing that game on Friday. So please join us then. Hope you had a wonderful day today. Hope you're having a great week. And as always, go Pack Go.